Hello, House Seeker, here again for another Sunday sermon in the park. Another wonderful day, not quite as sunny this week. What I want to share with you today is a quote that I heard. In fact, I'll probably throw in a few quotes here, but on a conference on Friday, it was on an event called Strategic Coach. It's phenomenal. Any entrepreneurs out there, any business people, I'd highly recommend that program. It's powerful, but anyway, here's the quote. And it was, "You are 100% dedicated to your habits." Which is a pretty incredible thought, really. You're 100% dedicated to your habits. And that's both good and bad habits. So there's this interesting scenario in life, especially around the area of health. It's more of a thought and a theory than a scenario, I guess, but there's this, that you need loads of willpower in order to master your health. And there seems to be this little bit of a limiting belief that crops up for a lot of people, especially around two factors, exercise and nutrition, that I just don't have the willpower to follow through on it. I don't have the same willpower as you, Richard. I don't have the same willpower as those athletes that I see on the TV. I must obviously be wired differently to them. I've tried in the past and it just hasn't worked. That kind of scenario. But if you consider that actually we all only have a finite amount of willpower, right? Everyone. Once it's used up, that's it. Done. You're cooked. And I take myself to the point of being cooked pretty much most days, 6-7 days a week. So I know what the feeling is like to just be all used up and you've got nothing else you can contribute. And I think there's a lot of value to that, a lot of value to living your life that way. You get a lot done, you find your limits, you grow, loads of great things that come from that kind of approach. But if you're relying on willpower to actually achieve a high state of health, I got to tell you right here, right now, it's not going to work for you. Because you will find that life will get in the way. Your willpower will get used up getting the kids off to school. It'll get used up prepping your meals. It'll get used up by the stress of the traffic. It'll get used up by the first half day at work. It'll get used up by the deadline that you're facing. Whatever it may be, you'll find that you'll eventually run out of willpower to do the things that actually matter in your health. So here's where the rubber meets the road. We are 100% dedicated to our habits. It takes no effort to actually do the things that are habitual in our life. Like I said, this is both the good and the bad habits. So the things that are bad for you, perhaps TV watching, perhaps cigarette smoking, perhaps drinking coffee. Could give loads of examples here. Sugar is another good one. You know, we're 100% dedicated to that. It doesn't take much effort at all to follow through on those habits. In fact, they just tend to happen, and it's only when you look back and you're like, oh God, yeah, that was coffee number 8 today. Or, oh yeah, I'm not supposed to be eating sugar this week, and I just gobbled a bag of sweets. Or, oh yeah, that's right, I did eat that donut that I'm not supposed to be eating. Whatever it may be, you know, you kind of have this out-of-body experience because we are habitual creatures by nature. A lot of the things that we do day in and day out happen subconsciously. You know, it's funny. Even this walk today, I had every intention of going a different route. It's only the second time I've been for a little ramble through Richmond Park, a sort of a longer trek-style walk. And guess what I'm doing? I'm actually following the exact same path that I took last week. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I pull out my phone to record this for you, and subconsciously I've just noticed now I've walked the exact same route I walked last week. So we're incredibly habitual, and this can be used to your benefit. So we have to get very strategic with the way that we create habits in our life. But here's the deal. You can't build too many habits in one go. You just got to pick one. Right, you just got to pick one habit and build one at a time. And it doesn't have to be difficult, but it does have to be conscious. So if you think about how your habits just happen. You're dedicated to them, both the good ones and the bad ones. So if you want to know what your future is going to look like, look at your current habits. Are you spending the majority of your time inactive? Are you spending the majority of your time eating rubbish food? Are you spending very little time exercising? Are you spending, do you have a number of addictions, both with food and drink and substances, whatever it may be? Do you find yourself not committed in conversation or connection? Whatever it may be, with the bad habits in your life, that's likely to wind up to be the future scenario for you. The ultimate creation of your life will come down to how these things play out. But the same goes for the good habits. Do you find yourself getting up every day and moving your body? Do you find yourself drinking green smoothies every day? If you just take that one habit of a green smoothie and you think about the impact of 5 or 6 vegetables and all kinds of other great things that you can cram into a smoothie every single morning, you think about the impact of that spread out over months to years. And the amount of quality nutrition you're going to just have deliberately put through your body with one very simple, very delicious, very quick and easy habit. Right? It's staggering if you compare the scenario where that played out over 10 years versus where it didn't. I mean, you'd be looking at rooms and rooms full of vegetables and antioxidants and nutrients that went through your system that otherwise wouldn't. Could potentially, very likely, I put it to you, very probably going to be a completely different scenario for your health if you just built that one habit in. So if you want to see what your future, if you want to predict your future, just look at your current habits. And so we can just build these habits into our life one at a time. Now, some of this common science out there and the common opinion says that it takes about 21 days to build a habit. And I think a lot of that is just friggin' hearsay. I think someone said that at one point in time, and that's just become the way that people look at it. But my experience of it is it can actually take considerably longer. I like the 90-day theory because that's what I found to be true in my life. This is why I like to live in 90-day challenges and 90-day periods of time, because that's where you can really solidify some solid habits and some solid creations and some very different results in your life. So I'm just going to pick one simple thing and you're going to add it in. You're going to stay consistent to it and you're going to track it and tick it off every day. Now, it could be as simple as you need to drink more water. I'm going to stick a glass of water by the bed and I'm going to drink that every single morning. So I'm going to see it as soon as I wake up and I'm going to drink it. It could be, I know that my sleep is bad. I know I'm not sleeping well, so I'm going to have a new habit of turning off the internet and turning off all screens from 8 p.m. Along similar lines, your habit could be, I'm going to make sure that I don't eat anything after 7 p.m. Because, by the way, if you go to bed with a full stomach, not digested, you will not go into deep sleep. You'll have a restless night's sleep. So get strategic. Think about where it is that you need to grow. And if you start to make your goals built around habits, or you think strategically around creating habits that support the goals that you want to create in your health and your life, this is a radically different outcome for you. Radical. And it becomes effortless. So a lot of the time, the reason why we run out of willpower is we think about how we have to remove things from our life. We have to remove the donuts, we have to remove the coffee, we have to remove the cigarettes, we have to remove the sugar, we have to remove the TV. But if you think about it in terms of adding things in, additions versus subtractions, the game becomes loads and loads easier, like so much easier. It's a radically different scenario. So instead of maybe drinking wine in the evening, you could switch that out for kombucha, a delicious, refreshing fermented tea beverage. You could, instead of watching TV, you could say, I allow Spotify in the evening and I listen to music that calms me down and cleanses my soul. You could switch TV out for books. You could create a family habit that instead of lounging around in front of the TV on a Sunday evening, you could play board games, or you could all go for a family walk, or whatever it may be. You can get creative with this based upon what you want to create in your life and in your family and in your health. But you start thinking addition versus subtraction. You start thinking habits versus willpower. And you start thinking 90 days versus superhuman effort tomorrow. and it becomes very, very easy to create a life on purpose and to actually form and shape your future very strategically in a way where it's hyper likely to happen. So that's what I got for you. Today's Sunday sermon over. My question for you though today is this: looking at the four core areas of your health, your nutrition, your mind, your my fingers aren't working so well, your movement and your spinal health and neurological health, where do you need to add a habit in that's going to take you somewhere very different over 90 days? Where do you know you're relying on willpower versus where you could be adding strategically in a habit that's just going to naturally take you where you want to go? Pull out your journal and pen, write that down. A short pencil is better than a long memory every day of the week. There's something magical about just writing things down. It really tends to send it out into the ether. There's some mystical, magical power around it. And you'll find when you look back on that, most of the time, that has come into creation. So thank you for listening. Until next week, over and out.